Wait, did Messi just hint that he might not play in the 2026 World Cup? The football world is in shock, and fans everywhere are asking the same question. How can the greatest of all time be unsure about the biggest stage of them all? What does this reveal about his body, his mindset, and the pressure he's been carrying since lifting the trophy in 2022? Well, there's a deeper story behind Messi's surprising statement, and if you think you know the reason, think again, because the truth might change everything. Stay with me. What I'm about to reveal will flip this whole narrative on its head. Will explain everything in this video step by step. Don't skip it. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves, because the football world just got hit with a statement nobody saw coming. Lionel Messi, the man who's defined an entire generation of football brilliance, has dropped a line that sent fans into emotional overtime at worst. I will be watching the 2026 World Cup. Yes, you heard that right. Messi, the magician, the maestro, the miracle maker, hinting he might not be on the pitch in 2026. And instantly the stadium of world football went silent for a moment. Then, boom, exploded with debates hotter than a Champions League final. But let's rewind the tape. This is a player who has climbed every mountain the sport could throw at him. League titles, Champions League, nights of pure magic, Copa America redemption, and of course that glorious night in Qatar 2022. A night that sealed his legendary status with golden ink. And just when the world thought that's it, he's done proving things, Messi kept going. Scoring, assisting, inspiring, carrying into Miami, and showing no signs of slowing down. Yet here we are, 2026, suddenly looking a little uncertain. You can almost hear fans screaming, "No way, one more Leo, one more." And who can blame them? When the GOAT speaks, the world listens and panics just a little. Is this humility? Is it strategy? Is Messi playing mind games with destiny? Or is this simply the reality of a man who's given everything to the sport, every sprint, every touch, every heartbeat on the pitch? One thing's for sure, Messi's journey to this moment has been anything but ordinary. From Barcelona's wonder kid to Argentina's eternal hero, his career has been a marathon of pressure, passion and pure poetry. So when he says he might be watching instead of playing, it shakes the football universe. But don't count him out just yet. This is Messi. We're talking about the king of surprising comebacks, the artist who paints brilliance where everyone thinks the canvas is blank. And if there's even one spark left in him, fans know he could still light up 2026 in a way only he can. So buckle up, football fans. Whether he's on the pitch or in the stands, the world will still be watching him. And until the very last moment, the debate will rage on. Will Messi make final World Cup run? Or has destiny already written the ending? Stay tuned, because this story is far from over. Messi shocks fans by suggesting he might only watch the 2026 World Cup, creates global debate, and the magnitude of this moment is impossible to exaggerate, because it's not just any player hinting at stepping back. It's Lionel Messi, the symbol of modern football, the heartbeat of millions who grew up watching him redefine what the sport could be. When a player of his stature makes a statement that sounds even slightly uncertain, the football world halts, pauses, and collectively tries to decode every syllable. Messi's words landed like a thunderbolt, because fans have always believed that as long as football exists, Messi would somehow still have a place within its biggest stage. But hearing him say that his participation isn't guaranteed, that at worst I will be watching, suddenly made the sport feel vulnerable in a way fans weren't emotionally prepared for. This isn't just retirement talk, it's the realization that the era defined by Messi's impossible dribbles, gravity-defying goals, and quiet leadership is inching toward its final chapters. What makes his comment even more dramatic is the timing coming after years of defying expectations, silencing critics, and achieving the one dream that seemed to haunt him his entire career, winning the World Cup for Argentina. After 2022, most assumed Messi had earned a lifetime path into future tournaments simply through legendary status alone. But Messi has never been the type to rely on reputation, and this statement proves that. It reflects his humility, his awareness of age, the physical demands of the sport, and the pressure of carrying a nation's hopes on his shoulders once again. His choice of words was measured, calm, almost casual, yet their emotional impact hit fans with the force of a 90th minute goal. Social media erupted within minutes, with hashtags trending, fan pages posting emotional tributes, and analysts scrambling to interpret whether he was being realistic, modest, or sending a coded message about a potential exit. What adds to the shock is that Messi's influence stretches far beyond Argentina. For young fans in Asia, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, every corner of the globe, Messi isn't just a footballer, he's an era, a memory, a personal timeline. Many fans have never watched a World Cup without him. The idea of seeing the tournament unfold without his presence is almost unthinkable. Making his comments feel heavier than a simple personal update, it stirs nostalgia, fear, admiration, and disbelief all at once. And because Messi rarely speaks dramatically or for attention. Fans know his words carry authenticity. This isn't a marketing move, it's a genuine glimpse into the mind of a player who has carried his nation through triumph and heartbreak for nearly 2 decades. The global debate rising from this statement isn't just about whether Messi should play. It's about whether the world is ready to see football's biggest stage move into a future without its brightest star. Despite legendary achievements, Messi expresses uncertainty about his physical readiness for 2026, and this single admission cuts straight to the core of what it means to be an athlete who has given everything to the sport for nearly 2 decades. Messi has always been honest about the realities of football, but hearing him openly acknowledge that his body may not be able to keep up with the demands of another World Cup cycle feels like an emotional turning point, not only for him but for fans who have watched him dazzle, dominate and deliver at the highest level year after year. His career has been a long parade of brilliance, Champions League triumphs, La Liga records, Ballon d'Or nights, Copa America redemption, and ultimately the crowning achievement of lifting the World Cup in 2022. It's easy for fans to assume that someone with such superhuman consistency can simply continue forever. But Messi's reflection reminds everyone that even legends feel the weight of time. This uncertainty doesn't come from a place of doubt in his skill. His touch, vision and football IQ remain unmatched. Instead, it comes from the physical demands required to perform at a World Cup, a tournament that pushes every player to their absolute limit. Only those who've worn the Argentina shirt felt the heat of global expectation and carried the hopes of millions understand the toll it takes. At 39, by the time 2026 arrives, Messi knows better than anyone what preparation, fitness and mental sharpness such a competition requires. He isn't a player who wants to show up just because he's Messi. He wants to compete at the highest level, contributing meaningfully, influencing games and fighting for victory. If he's not certain he can do that, he won't pretend otherwise. And this honesty is what makes his comments so powerful. Throughout his career, Messi has always let his football speak louder than his words, which makes these words land with even greater impact. He rarely discusses his physical condition publicly, rarely reveals vulnerability, and rarely brings attention to anything that might hint at slowing down. Hearing him openly weigh his physical readiness signals that he is thoughtful, evaluating what comes next rather than making promises he cannot guarantee. It's a testament to his professionalism that he refuses to commit unless feels fully capable of giving Argentina the version of himself they deserve. The uncertainty also reflects the sacrifices he has made, the countless matches played, the travel, the pressure of Inter Miami's intense schedule, the responsibility of leading a young group of players, and the non-stop expectation that he must always perform at extraordinary levels. Few athletes in any sport have maintained elite performance for as long as Messi has, and the strain of doing so is something he carries quietly. His statement opens a window into that reality, showing fans the human side of the icon they have followed for years. For supporters, analysts and teammates, this creates a moment of reflection about what the future of the national team looks like and how Messi's legacy has shaped everything leading up to 2026, filling the conversation with both pride and anxiety as the world wonders what decision he will make when the moment finally arrives. Fans and analysts react emotionally, urging Messi to make one final World Cup appearance, and the intensity of those reactions shows just how deeply ingrained he is in the heartbeat of global football culture. The moment his comments surfaced, a wave of disbelief swept across social media platforms, with supporters refusing to accept the possibility of a World Cup without the man who has shaped their football memories for nearly 20 years. From passionate pleas on fan pages to emotional video compilations celebrate his past World Cup highlights, the response erupted instantly. Many fans argued that Messi's presence alone could elevate Argentina's morale and inspire younger players, while others insisted that even at 39 his intelligence, positioning and playmaking far outshine what most players can produce at their physical peak. The emotional push from the global audience stems not only from admiration but from a sense of collective nostalgia, because every World Cup since 2006 has included Messi's brilliance, heartbreaks and heroics woven into its storyline. Analysts, meanwhile, have had a different yet equally passionate reaction. They dissect every angle, from tactical importance to leadership value, emphasizing how Messi's mere inclusion in the squad can influence strategies and define the team's identity. Many football experts point out that even at this stage of his career, Messi still creates chances with a level of vision that no one else can replicate. Whether he's sprinting less or conserving energy, his presence forces opponents to adjust their entire defensive structure. That kind of gravitational pull is something no team wants to lose lightly. Analysts also remind fans that football history is filled with legendary veterans who made game-changing contributions in later stages of their careers, reinforcing the idea that Messi still has more to give if he chooses to step onto the 2026 pitch. The emotional outpouring from Argentina has been especially intense. For many Argentine fans, Messi is more than a player. He's a symbol of national pride, resilience and redemption. They've watched him shoulder crushing pressure, endure criticism, lead them to Copa America glory, and finally bring home the World Cup that defined a generation. To imagine the national team entering a tournament as significant as 2026 without him feels like losing a piece of their identity. Argentine radio shows spent hours debating his statement. Former players expressed hope that he would reconsider, and journalists speculated whether this was simply Messi being modest rather than making a final decision. It has become a conversation that touches every corner of the football community, from cafe discussions to major television panels. At the same time, younger fans, many of whom discovered their passion for football through Messi, cannot picture the spectacle of a World Cup without his magic. Their emotional reaction highlights how much influence he has had on shaping the dreams of the next generation. They've grown up imitating his dribbles, studying his free kicks and watching his iconic moments unfold on the biggest stage. For them, one more World Cup appearance feels like a final chance to witness a living legend perform on the grandest platform of all. This collective response from fans and analysts reveals just how powerful Messi's connection to the sport remains and how deeply people desire to see his story continue a little longer, hoping he graces the 2026 World Cup, not from the stands but on the field, where he has created so many unforgettable moments. Messi's journey from 2020 to glory to into Miami leadership adds drama to his 2026 decision, because every chapter he has lived since lifting the World Cup has reshaped expectations and reminded the world that his story is far from ordinary. When he held that trophy in Qatar, many believed it was the perfect ending, the final masterpiece in a career built on sweat, heartbreak and breathtaking brilliance. But instead of slowing down or retreating into a quiet farewell, Messi chose a new, bold, unexpected path by moving to Inter Miami, a club that instantly transformed the landscape of football in the United States. His move wasn't just a transfer, it was a cultural shift, a spark that ignited American football fever and brought global attention to Major League Soccer in a way no one had imagined. Since joining Inter Miami, Messi has embraced a leadership role that feels almost like a second life in his career. He became the mentor, the guiding light for a young squad and the catalyst for a team hungry for identity and ambition. His influence has elevated teammates, reshaped tactics, and turned Miami into a global football destination where every match feels like a festival. Fans travel from different countries just to see him play. Stadiums sell out within hours, and every touch he makes becomes a highlight clip shared across social media. This new chapter added layers to the Messi narrative, proving that even after achieving everything in Europe and with Argentina, he still had a passion to build, to teach and to inspire. Yet this journey has also placed new physical demands on him. The relentless MLS schedule, extensive travel distances across the United States and additional competitions like Leagues Cup and international friendlies have tested his endurance in ways different from European football. While he continues to deliver moments of pure magic, the physical strain is undeniable, and it plays a major role in his contemplation of the 2026 World Cup. Fans might see the goals, assists and celebrations, but behind the scenes Messi is navigating recovery sessions, injury scares and the reality of managing his body at an age most footballers have long retired. His decision isn't just about desire, it's about whether he can maintain the level he demands from himself on the biggest stage of all. At the same time, Messi's role with Argentina has evolved into something even more symbolic. After 2022, he became not just the leader but the emotional anchor of the team. Younger players look up to him the way he once looked up to Aymar and Riquelme. His presence in training camps brings calm, motivation and belief. Every time he steps onto the pitch wearing the national colours, the crowd responds with a mixture of admiration and gratitude, knowing they are witnessing history. This emotional bond between Messi and his national team makes his 2026 decision even more dramatic, because it's no longer just about competition, it's about connection, legacy and the final chapter of a story that has captivated the world for 2 decades. All of this adds immense weight to even the slightest hint of uncertainty from him, as every achievement, every sacrifice and every moment since 2022 feeds into the global anticipation surrounding what Messi will choose to do next. The football world now waits as Messi keeps the door slightly open, fueling suspense and speculation, because his words carry a unique weight that few athletes in history have ever possessed. When most players speak about the future, the conversation lasts day, maybe two, before fading into the usual rhythm of football news. But when Messi hints at uncertainty, the entire ecosystem of the sport shifts. Journalists analyse every phrase, fans interpret every gesture, and pundits debate every possibility with the intensity of a World Cup knockout match. Messi's decision isn't just about a player choosing whether to compete again. It's about a global icon whose presence defines eras, shapes narratives, and influences the emotional pulse of millions who follow the game with heart and devotion. The door he leaves open becomes a symbol of hope. Not a promise, not a commitment, but a small spark that keeps fans believing there is still a chance to witness him on the world's biggest stage one more time. And hope is powerful, especially when attached to someone like Messi, whose career has often been built on delivering the impossible. People remember how he was doubted before 2022, how many believed his time had passed, and how he responded with one of the greatest World Cup performances ever seen. That memory alone convinces fans that nothing is over until the moment he officially said it is. Until then, every interview, every training clip, every match at Inter Miami becomes another piece of the puzzle observers attempt to decode as they try to guess what Messi will ultimately decide inside Argentina. The suspense is even stronger. Supporters follow every update with emotional intensity, hoping that national pride and his connection to the team might influence him. Local media runs daily discussions about his statement. Former legends voice their encouragement, and coaches remain respectfully optimistic, knowing that even a small sign of interest from Messi can change the entire trajectory of the national team's preparation. The younger generation of Argentine players also feels this anticipation because having Messi beside them in a World Cup doesn't just elevate their performance, it elevates their confidence, their belief, and their understanding of what it means to compete at the highest global level. Outside Argentina, the anticipation turns into a universal storyline. Football fans around the world are invested not because of national loyalty, but because Messi represents a connection to the sport that transcends borders. For many supporters, he's the first footballer they admired, the one whose highlight they watched endlessly, the one who made them fall in love with the game's artistry. The idea of a World Cup without him feels strange, unfamiliar, like a chapter closing on a book that everyone wished would last just a little longer. As long as Messi continues to speak cautiously, leaving room for possibility, the suspense remains alive. Analysts predict scenarios, fans create campaigns urging him to play, and conversations about 2026 always circle back to the same question: will Messi return for one last dance? Every passing month adds to the drama. Every performance sparks new speculation. Every moment he remains undecided keeps the football world in a state of eager anticipation, waiting for the announcement that will define how the next World Cup story begins. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.